Everyone, my name is Khadija Hamza. With me are my team members Ashima, Ashley, and Amuche. Today we will be looking at two different leaders from different industries. Um, we will look at their leadership styles, we'll look at the approaches and frameworks that apply to them, as well as their similarities and differences. To start with, Justin Trudeau is a Canadian politician who served as the 23rd Prime Minister of Canada from 2015 to 2025. He led the Liberal Party from 2013 until 2025 when he resigned, and he was part of the Parliament for Papineau from 2008 to 2025 as well. Let's not forget that he is the son of a former Prime Minister of Canada. Mary Barra, on the other hand, is an American businesswoman who became the chief executive officer of General Motors in 2014, and she made history as the first female CEO of a major global automaker, which earned her a place amongst influential leaders. Moving on to Justin Trudeau, let's have a deeper dive on him. He was born in December 25th, 1971 in Ottawa, Ontario. He attended University of British Columbia in 1998. He's best known to be a progressive, inclusive, and charismatic leader. He pushed for diversity, indigenous rights, gender equality, and climate action, as well as value-based governance. His focal points was task and relationship oriented. He changed societal norms, improved community efficiency in Canada, and he also maintained diversity and equality in Canada. As we all know, human beings are bound to have shortcomings, flaws, and he's not an exception. Here we will be looking at his strengths and shortcomings. He on the side of his strengths, he approved and legalized cannabis in Canada and introduced federally required carbon tax to better environmental policies. He created he created outgoing application of power and created a new image for Canada. And this built a beauty image for Canada using the aid of social media and his person as a charismatic leader. He successfully safeguarded Canadian trade interests by renegotiating the NFTA to USMCA. He was an up and running leader in unprecedented times like COVID-19. He paid he paid emergency funds, palliatives to Canadians to relieve them, declared emergency act of freedom convoy, and he gave daily updates on the pandemic to let the Canadians know what was going on. On his shortcomings, like we said earlier, he tampered with justice by pushing for the Attorney General to um, to to intervene on a case on a corporate to call off a corporate prosecution. And on the economic side of things, during his tenure, the inflation was high, the cost of living was high, such as the house cost of housing, groceries. Their GDP per capita was also high. And on governance, the Prime Minister's office had a centralized power for decision making, which made his initial cabinet members weak in their functions and implementation of policies. Next is the frameworks that are applied to Justin Trudeau as a leader, which are the behavioral style theory, and transformational leadership. On his behavioral style, he led significant policy initiatives such as cutting taxes for the middle class, implementing climate action plans. He created jobs through economic growth and strategies, um, and adaptability. He adjusted his leadership styles in response to changing political, economic, and social contexts, such as responding to climate change, unprecedented events like COVID-19 and economic shifts. And on his behavioral oriented side of things, he emphasized inclusivity. He engaged with the citizens from time to time. He built grassroots movements. He brought in new voices and young Canadians into politics and prioritized equality, collaboration within his team and amongst Canadians across Canada. Amuche will take it up from here.
Okay, so these are the critical analysis of the behavioral and transformational leadership under Justin. The dominant traits are he was a people and tax-oriented person. He was all about inclusivity. He was all about his people. He was all about youth in politics, and he had great policy action. But then the critiques are the inconsistencies, style over substance. It was more charismatic talks, and then more and more forums than actions, more and more policies talking than the actual policies being implemented. Then for the transformational leadership, some others view it was visionary, had great messages that could actually stir up the people, get you to look up, get you to believe. So he had the great visionary messages, and then his empowerment tactics was actually very great. But then the critical part of it was the ethical lapses, a lot of on-field promises, more talk, less action, and then sorry gap between the both theories actually is one of the critics of transformation leadership. Then the next one it would be the limitations of the theories. One is oversimplification. The both theories overlook key context, what is actually important, the ethical blind spot of it, the charismatic nature covers the ethical compromises. When he has flair, but then he doesn't actually deliver on what he's saying most of the time or at the point in time. Then outgoing and ambitious style post image, but then inconsistency and then entitlement narrative actually seeps in between all these conversations. Strong on symbolism and narrative, weak on systematic. Then the theory exports his style, but it also exposes his flaw on implementations. Now the LMX theory and then on Justin, the in group is focused on building trust, had the trust of the people. He was the man of the people, empowering diverse teams, cabinet, youth council. One of his major interests was to try as much as possible to include youth in politics. Then the outcome was collaborative relationship. Everyone comes around to actually listen to what you're saying. Everyone comes around to see how you can make their life better. Everyone comes around to be there for you, and then everyone believes in the vision. Then the out group is strained relations, the SNSE Lavina, the transactional approaches in some provinces where it was a give and take situation. Then the outcome of these actions, eroding trust and then communication challenges. Those were part of the outcomes of it. Then the limitations, they appear to be unfair and discriminatory. Low quality dynamic relationship leads to enmity among followers. When one believes 100% of what you're saying and then another person doesn't really believe in it, it causes enmity. But then the major limitation of the theory is isolation of the outgroup. Why high quality LMX relationship profits income. One part is not satisfied and one part is satisfied. So there's always a line between the theories about the limitations. So that's all for now.
Hello everyone, this is Ashima and today I'll be talking about Mary T. Barra, the CEO of General Motors. Mary was born on 24th December 1961 in Royal Oak, Michigan, USA. She was born into the automotive world. Her father was a die maker at Pontiac. She started her journey with General Motors at just 18 years old as a co-op student at one of their plants in 1980. In 2014, she became the first female CEO of a major global automaker, leading the company through significant political and organizational challenges. She's best known for integrating authentic leadership and changes like leadership styles. One of her key moments was handling the ignition switch recall crisis with honesty and transparency. which helped rebuild public trust. Her leadership has been focused on transforming General Motors through transparency and accountability, aiming for a future with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestions. Her ability to lead through change has made her a standout figure in the automotive industry. If we move ahead on the next slide, let's just look at an analysis of her leadership strengths and shortcomings. So, on the strength side, Mary has shown a remarkable ability to build trust by managing crisis transparently. She has a bold vision for the future, especially in electric and autonomic vehicles. She is also agile, quickly adapting to market shifts and empowers her workforce through inclusivity and internal programs. Her deep insight into General Motors, thanks to her long career with the company, helps her make well-informed decisions. However, her leadership isn't without flaws. She has faced integrity questions, especially during the ignition switch scandal, with some doubts about what she knew and when. There have also been project failures like the setbacks in General Motors' autonomous vehicle division Cruise. Additionally, she faced ethical scrutiny and stakeholder unrest, and some of her long term visions have clashed with short term realities in the market. If we proceed further on the next slide, I'll be explaining the two main leadership frameworks that apply to Mary Barra's leadership, that is, transformational leadership and behavioral theory. So, proceeding further, um, the leadership style of Mary Barra, who leads the General Motors as a chief executive officer, goes hand in hand with the behavioral theory, especially by her balanced perspective. The following has characterized her way of approach. Task-oriented behaviors. Barra's spearheaded major policy projects, including the strategic investment of $35 billion on electric and autonomous vehicle technology. Such measures highlight specific goal establishment, planning and execution of redesigning General Motors products inventory. Second, relationship oriented behaviors. So, Barra tends to keep a certain inclusiveness and engagement towards the employees through her development of the project, speak up for safety, and the representational kind of a dress code named as dress appropriately. Her values were placing employees and building trust in the organization. So the third will be adaptability. Bara has proven that she can actively change her leadership credential to react the evolving market parameters, including reducing EV manufacturing, state of goals, and relaunching plug-in hybrids as a result of the new market condition. So the behavioral style theory explains the leadership of Mary, the CEO of General Motors, as a product of her visible behaviors, the mode of adjustment she used, and her balancing between the focus on people and things. Now, Ashley will gonna let you know about the transformational leadership approach and about Barry.
Thanks, Ashi. Hello, this is Ash Limsi. Now we are going to be discussing on the transformational leadership approach by Mary. We can see that uh, we have four sections in this transformational side. The inspiring vision, we can see that she sets a clear, big goal for the General Motors: zero crashes, zero emissions, zero congestion. This meant to inspire everyone and the empowering others. She made changes in HR, created employee resource group, and gave engineers more freedom, especially during COVID-19, to make their own decisions and driving change. She made significant investments in environmental and social initiatives, showing she is serious about her vision. And the charisma and motivation, she handled the ignition switch crisis openly, which showed her ability to be charismatic and motivate uh, trust even during tough times. So now moving to the next slide, we are going to be looking at the critical analysis of the behavioral theory and the transformational leadership theory. we can see that in the behavioral theory, uh, the dominant traits she handled crisis. We can see that we can see that she changed the company's culture and invested in electric vehicles. But the problem was there was question about her honesty because of an email which she sent in the year 2013 about a car defect that seemed to contradict what she said in 2014. This makes people doubt about her transparent how transparent she really is. And we can look at the transformational leadership, what her supporters say, that she has a big vision, like investing in billions in electric and self-driving cars, and side gives her employees more power to make decisions. And the problem was her self-driving car project had a huge financial loss and shift the plug-in hybrid and had issues which challenges the idea that her leadership is perfect. And now we are going to be looking at the limitations of the theory. We can see that the oversimplification, the theory sometimes don't consider real world pressures like slow adoption of electric vehicles to problem with self-driving cars. They make things seem too simple. An ethical blind spot. The ideas of authentic leadership doesn't fully explain tricky situations like insider paradox, um, and personality profile dissonance. There's a conflict between leader's public image and suspicious about their involvement in a problem like the ignition. And now we're going to be looking at the uh, LMX theory. So this theory looks at how leaders have different relationships in and outside of the group. So in the group, the focus was to building trust by being open and promoting a safety culture, like speak up for safety. And the outcome was these teams feel empowered, communicate well, and shared responsibility. And in the out group, there's distrust because of the ignition switch controversy problems, uh, as we have seen before, with the cruise AV shutdown and issues with electric vehicle rollout. And the outcome was strained relationship, feeling of unfairness, and communication problem. And now looking at the limitations of this theory. So the problem is the theory can seem unfair or discriminatory because leaders treat different groups differently. It's also hard to accurately measure how good these relationships are. When leaders have poor relationship with some followers, it can lead to bad feelings and conflict, and it can also make some employee feel left out, leading them to less job satisfaction, more stress, and less commitment because they feel treated unfairly. Their public persona doesn't always match the reality of their actions. So that's about it. Now, comparison of
Okay,
leaders.
now,
I'm not.
yeah, thank you. So now to the comparison between the two leaders, they had different domain. Justin is a political leader, while Mary Justin was, while Mary is a CEO of General Motors. The leadership focus for Justin was progressive, inclusivity, diversity, and climate action, while for Mary was redefining trust, EVs, and the sustainability of the sector. The star characteristics for Justin was he was charismatic in nature, he was inclusive, he was emotionally intelligent, and then he was task and leadership oriented. For Mary, she was transparent, accountable, visionary, empathetic, and then data driven. Limitations for Justin were the ethnical standards, the centralized government, the unmet indigenous representation promises. While for Mary, she had the stakeholders unrest, she had the slow EV adoption, and then ethical scrutiny during the crisis. Now, critics of the theories used general leadership, high charisma, but lacking systematic reforms. While for Mary, she was an authentic leader but fails to explain the insider paradox and inconsistency in ethnic transformation. So that's about the comparison between the two leaders.
Okay, so now as we have seen the full presentation on both of the leaders, now we're going to be concluding and looking at the conclusion and recommendation. What we have compared these readers and their impactful leadership styles produce Political leadership marked by inclusivity faced challenges with ethical issues and execution gaps, whereas corporate leadership, however, demonstrated authenticity and strategic transformation, effectively navigating crisis at General Motors. Both highlight that effective leadership isn't just about style, it's about the ability to adapt to complex realities. And now we have the recommendation for political leaders such as Justin. So, balance charisma with strong execution and accountability, focus on long term institutional reforms over symbolic gesture, reinforce transparent governance, and to address ethical vulnerabilities. And for corporate leaders such as Mary, uh, complement vision with stronger stakeholder engagement, align innovation timeline with market readiness for better execution, build internal system for ethical decision making at all levels. So ultimately, future leaders in any sector must be adaptive, ethically sound, and evidence based, always grounded to real world needs. So that's it for this presentation, and thank you.